those that can't hear in the chat because of the music of The Who and the fact that we'll get popped by the YouTube and everybody else, to write into a part where they don't know what I was saying before, so all they hear is like, oh. They got to be like, what the hell was that?
Oh, must be a Friday.
They started early. Oh, man. Anyhow, hey, so, this is a wild ride. Let's get right to it. I see where old dad said, are we in the Big Ten yet? Go Noles. Sooner is better. Sooner is going to happen, guys. I think it's very near. I think we're out of here pretty soon.
What?
24 is going to be it. We'll be out of here. This is going to be it. All the changes that you're seeing now in football, it's crazy. It does cause a problem for the first story of the day. I think potentially a problem. We can vet this. We can spend a lot of time on it because it's the thing that people care about most. I'm betting, for example, Tom, that people don't care about most the fact that the Clippers blew a 21-point lead last night in a game your boy bet -2.5 to the Lakers in the fourth quarter and thus cost me money. They don't want me to lead with that, so I won't. I'm just noting, betting's not for the faint of heart. Up 21 in the fourth.
I really want to know how that affects Kawhi Leonard's legacy.
Well, if you tuned in today, I'm sure they debated it for hours. I'm sure that was Shannon and Stephen A. were going at it today about the legacy and the destruction of a regular season game, fourth quarter dropped lead, and how it destroys your view of LeBron, or in this case, Kawhi. Okay, so this instead, and it is a big story, and our guy Ross Dellinger, who I like a lot and got a chance to talk to in Charlotte at the ACC championship, which, by the way, this latest story suggests to me we're done with conference championship games. I mean, that is the end of that. I got to believe they don't exist anymore by 2025, 2026. 2026 for sure, if this goes through. Here's what I'm talking about for those who are like, what the hell are you prattling on about, Cameron? One of the models for a new college football playoff is emerging, and the Big Ten and SEC would each receive 3 automatic qualifiers into a 14-team field. So, think about this. Let's just stop it each step of the way. There's news in all of this. So let's just start here. A 14-team playoff. So forever, we were told, let's remember the talking points. Forever, we were told that you could never have a playoff in college football. You can't do it, guys. You hands to the sky, don't know what to tell you. We cannot do a playoff. It's unfortunate. Well, you already do it in Division II. I watch it every year. That's different. How? Well, that's how that went all the time. You already do it.
The bowl tie-ins, Jeff. It's the bowl tie-ins.
Okay, so the fallback bowl tie-ins, which are now, they've all been rendered moot.
Tradition, Jeff.
Yeah.
Tradition.
That's right. Okay, so the tradition that they were trying to protect, they've now TNT everywhere. Kabah! They're done with it. They don't care.
But the bowls continue on.
Not for much longer.
Well, look, man, I've never seen more efficient uses of money. I've never seen more efficient organizations than bowl committees. These individuals, they work for nothing. They get nothing out of it. It's amazing the selflessness of a bowl committee.
Yeah, it makes me laugh. It's funny every time. But okay, so let's just start there. We were told for years and years and years, can't be a college football playoff. It'll never happen. It's never going to happen. The retort, often without getting into the weeds, was, oh, sure, it's going to happen. And oh, by the way, not only is it going to happen, it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later. We may not like all the aspects of it, but it's going to happen because the money's too great. The money's just too great. And this is a sport clearly driven by money. And that's where we're headed. All right. Well, now we've arrived there big time. So the first thing they conceded was, all right, okay. All right, we hear you. 4 teams. 4 teams. And we said, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a Power 5. Somebody's going to get screwed. Turns out it was us. It's a Power 5, not a Power 4, guys. Somebody's going to get bent over in this thing. You just wait. It's not always going to work out in your favor. At some point, there's going to be a moment in time where you're going to have two teams with very similar resumes, and somebody's going to get the shaft. Turns out it was us.
Well, you're going to have three teams, one of which doesn't have a similar resume to the other two, but the other two are going to go in because they've got tie-ins to certain networks, and there's financial things at play. Absolutely.
Right.
The resume was not similar on the right side of the dash.
What I'm saying is that
zero.
Correct. That didn't happen. But the argument at the time that I'm making was completely valid, and they did get lucky forever.
Mm-hmm.
It always ended up working out.
And in this one, they just put their hands on the scales.
Oh, in this one, they just said, screw it.
Yeah.
We don't care because there's no recourse. There's no retort. There's nothing anybody can do about it. And by the way, next year goes to 12, so this won't happen.
Well, and guys, our hands are tied because Texas beat Alabama. Texas has to get in. So by definition, Alabama has to get in.
Mm-hmm. No, we know how it happened, and we know what happened, and we know all of the nonsense that happened along the way. But anyhow, each step of this, they first, we can't have a playoff. Now, okay, we'll have a playoff. We'll give you 4 teams. Well, that doesn't make sense, guys. It's Power 5. We got a problem on our hands here. One of these times, somebody's going to get the shaft. It turns out it was us. They got lucky. It didn't happen multiple times where people made a mockery of this whole thing. Okay, so then they went from 4. Now they're like, okay, well, all right. This is working. We're making a lot of money. So then they concede to 12. Well, now they're already like, screw it. 12's not enough. Really? Should have gone to 16. We told you that from the get-go. So,
well, 16's too much. So, I don't know. What are you smoking over there? 16.
Well, they've already gone beyond the 12 that hasn't been implemented yet to a 14, and they're destroying the 14 in rooms right now. Somebody's talking about the 16 team that's coming.
Honestly, I think 13's a good number. You should have the SEC number 1 auto qualifier just move through a couple of rounds.
Yep, not have to play. Double bye. NFL model. Yeah.
It's an NFL model with a double bye.
Right.
For AQ1 SEC. 13 teams. What do you say?
The Big Ten and SEC would each receive 3 automatic qualifiers into a 14-team field, with the ACC and the Big 12 getting 2 each. Okay, so let's stop here for a second. On the surface, I really don't have a problem with the 2 super conferences having 3 automatic qualifiers. I don't. A lot of people will. I don't. What I would look at instead is if I'm the SEC or the Big Ten, and I'm expanding my conference. I got more teams than everybody else. It's more competitive. I've now got, at least 8 teams that could maybe win a national championship. So I'm going to, they wanted 4 automatic qualifiers. They got told to go to hell. So they fought for 4. Both did. They got told that ain't happening. So the acquiesce occurred when 3. Well, can we have 3? Okay, we'll give you 3. We can see 3. Okay, 3 automatic into the playoff. Okay, fine. We're not giving you 4. All right. So there were some concessions there. The weird thing is, though, Tom, there are numerous times over the course of college football in the last several seasons where there's no way in hell I'd let 2 Big 12 teams in the playoff. And there have been times where there's no way in hell I'd let 2 ACC teams in the playoff.
Yeah, that's where this is going to get torpedoed very soon.
I think so, too.
The 2 ACC. When this conference,
well, especially when we leave.
Yes, when this conference is stripped down and it's humiliated as it deserves to be. And when that happens, and it's maybe Miami and North Carolina State, and that's about it. That's all that's left. And Wake, you're going to have 1 from the ACC. But this is a very temporary 2 automatic qualifier for the ACC arrangement.
Very temporary. But here's another problem that I thought about driving over here. I was sitting here thinking I thought about a lot of problems, and they have to get this done because this mega $1.2 billion contract is sitting out there, all but agreed upon with ESPN. And they're like, well, guys, before we sign, we need to know what this is going to be.
Sure.
And who's getting in. And they're like, well, we're working on it. Yeah, well, good luck, man, because it has to be unanimously voted on, and you're not going to get it. And one of the reasons you're not going to get it is because you can't be Jim Phillips and tell everybody by signing this deal, I agree, the ACC is a lesser than. You can't do it. Give up your court case when you do.
He will do it.
Because I got to be careful what I'd say about that. Of course he will. We know what he is. So,
well, hang on. Tony Pataro's a good friend.
You can't if you're the Big 12. You can't any of these other leagues. You got to be like, well, because why? Well, because now not only have you admitted that you're not worthy, that you're lesser than, you've opened the door for the SEC and the Big Ten to just say, well, we're going to also take a lot more of the profit. Even in years where we don't really have 4 teams that should go, we're just going to go ahead and take it because we're putting this on.
Well, I just spoke to Burke Mangus about this. Did you, Jim?
Yeah.
What did he say?
What did Bert have to say?
Well, I got transferred to his voicemail, but I left him a long message, and I told
I'm sure
him
he'll call me back.
to call me back. That's what he's going to do.
So we've got entanglements, if you will, and there are many more. These are just a few I was thinking about. Like, well, I can look at it 2 ways. A, there will be plenty of people who are not thrilled about the Big Ten and the SEC having 3 automatic, and they'll push back on that. They'll say, well, why do they automatically get that? Well, I could see the argument for that. But I started thinking about it the other way. I'm like, well, no, there are plenty of times where nobody from the Big 12 should have made it, or maybe one, maybe. There have been times when the ACC had a down year, and you're like, there's one good team in this league right now. One. They don't deserve 2.
I thought it raised my eyebrows when I saw that there were 2 automatics. For
no
the ACC.
chance.
Well,
that's not going to happen.
You know what that does, though? That caps it. You're only going to get 2. You're never going to get more than 2.
You're never going to get 2, yeah.
Because your 3 at-larges ain't going to the ACC.
No, they're going to the Big Ten and the SEC.
That's correct.
2 of the 3
Yes.
easily.
Right.
No,
You're getting 2 ACC teams.
They're not going to get it.
They're not going to give you a third.
Well, when Clemson and Florida State walk, they're not getting it. And by the way, we'll be the ones telling everybody they shouldn't because
correct.
We'll be eating from the money trough. We don't need all this nonsense.
No,
you're not getting in.
No, the ACC get kicked down to 1. It'll get kicked down to 1 when we leave. That's my prediction.
The Big 12 needs to be looking at 1 too. I mean, come on now.
And Jim go, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Around every turn. Is Keith out in the audience? Keith, are you there from the CW?
Dennis Miller. He's our partner. In fact, I see him. Oh, that's not him.
No. I guess Dennis couldn't make it today. In front of everybody at the start of the ACC meeting. What are you doing,
They
Jim?
also have some deals with Liv, and that's a very interesting thing that's going on.
That was crazy. When he brought that up, I'm like, you don't get it.
No. His staff are going, you're off the prompter. You're off the prompter, Jim. Stop, Jim.
There's no self-awareness. There's nothing. So nobody in that conversation would have ever said to him at any point, hey, by the way, you should bring up Liv. Jim, what are we doing?
It establishes credibility of the CW.
What? No, it doesn't.
Along with Young Superman, season 4.
It establishes a relationship with terrorists. Why are you equating? What are we doing?
There is one provision twice a year when we have Wednesday night ACC basketball. Young Superman does run 5 minutes into the window, but we conceded that. So we will join games in progress when Young Superman has its 5-minute extra window.
You want the Leroy Jenkins things to happen right then and there. That's it. Time's up. And everybody just gets up and walks out while he's prattling on, looking for Dennis. Okay, so let's get back to this now. We've just started our methodology. Well, actually, 12, the next 2 years, they want to go to 14. Let's go back and recount here. Big Ten, SEC get 3 automatic qualifiers in a 14-team field. The ACC and the Big 12 get 2 each. Probably won't last. The group of 5's best team qualifying as well. So that would feature 3 at-large spots to the highest-ranked teams outside of the automatic qualifiers.
3 Big Ten or SEC teams.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, the lone exception, of course, because they always get an exception, is Notre Dame. Notre Dame automatically qualifies if they're in the top 14.
If they're in the top 14?
Top 14, they're in. So really, it's just 2. And the SEC and the Big Ten will take those.
Right. So they get.
So Notre Dame's in.
Yeah.
So in essence, you're going to have 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten teams. You're going to have Notre Dame. You're going to have 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, and 1 other.
I can't wait for 8-3 Notre Dame to be sweating this out every single year, and they're playing.
They're going to
USC.
join a conference. They're going to join the Big Ten.
It's 8-3. This is it. This is to be in the top 14. That's like the Mike Tirico setup on NBC Sports.
Oh yeah,
the battle to finish in the top 14
begins
now.
It's a big battle. You better hope that field goal's good. You broke ass. I mean, this is like, you better hope. Okay, so those briefed on the format discussed its details with our guy Ross Dellinger. Well, Ross is an influential guy. I don't know how he got everybody on earth in the sports world to talk about everything with him off the record, but he did somewhere along the way. I'm just giving it up to a really good reporter. My man has it always. He's always like, I got it right here, guys. It's all off the record, but they told me, here's the format. I got it. Yahoo, something to do with Yahoo. Knocked on the door and said, Yahoo here. They went, oh, give it to him.
Yeah, it's because they all had stock in Yahoo in 96.
I mean, it's crazy. So here's the deal, by the way, that those who did the talking under the conditions of anonymity did so while also saying it's nowhere near finalized. And it's not the only option that they're looking at. That is from the College Football Playoff Management Committee. There was a meeting last week. This is what emerged from said meeting. It's an 11-member group encompassing the 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame's athletic director. That's who is in that meeting, okay? So the 3-3-2-2-1 format
sounds like a soccer formation
is what's being talked about amongst athletic administrators. For some reason, by the way, I do want to point this out. If you read the original story, now for show prep purposes, I'll read several different takes on this story. I try to start with the one who broke the story and then go from there to see what other people have said, and I'll start kind of looking and reading between the lines. Clearly, this committee, when handing out information to various reporters about what it is that emerged, okay, during their discussions last week, somehow decided that using the term socialized is necessary in any story written about the potential 14-team field.
It is never necessary. Never.
It is so strange to me that you would say, instead of discussed, talked about, debated.
Because everybody gets a seat now.
Socialized.
Time was, there'd just be two teams. They play for it.
The format is being socialized among athletic administrators.
Participation births.
A format being socialized among major conference administrators. It's in every article. And it's not the funny version you're doing with making fun of rednecks who think everything's socialism. I get it. What I'm saying is this is like what's being instead of discussed, it is socialized. It's hilarious.
What do you hear about kindergarten? But you're correct. That means it's coming from the same person,
right? Well, the committee, they're talking to the reporters.
But might be the same person.
The
within
same guy.
Committee. Why does Jimmy always say socialize?
Jimmy, stop saying that. Just say we talked.
We talked.
We talked. We met. We discussed.
You see that Jimmy's leaking everything? Socializes in every article.
Damn it, my crutch of using socialize got me again. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services has been Tallahassee's preferred residential electrician for over 30 years. Hi, this is Rowdy Lawson, and we've earned our reputation because we care about our customers, about quality, and about providing great service. We stand by every job we do and consider it a privilege to work on a family project like a new house, a custom addition, or a green renovation. For all your residential or service projects, call the good guys, Lawson & Lawson Electrical Services, 562-4111.
You know what happens when a smart group of medical professionals get together and commit to a technology designed to relieve your aching joints without surgery? It's called QC Kinetics.
And this guy knows the power of a solid team. Emmitt Smith, football legend and Dancing with the Stars champ.
This elite medical group, some of them orthopedic doctors, got together and said, why are we prescribing so many medications? Why are we sending to surgery in droves? Let's change this.
The answer? Natural biologics, our own healing properties. And the outcome is the country's largest provider of non-surgical regenerative treatments, QC Kinetics.
Actually, the real outcome are the tens of thousands of patients who finally got their quality of life back without surgery, thanks to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
This is Jamie McClenney with Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Despite the highest global interest rates in almost 2 decades, inverted yield curves, conflicts in the Middle East, and 3 of the largest bank failures in U.S. history, equities and bond markets have posted stellar returns for 2023. The Dow Jones, the NASDAQ 100, and the Russell 2000 all reached new highs as markets rallied on the expectations of Fed pauses, Fed easing, and Fed bank bailouts. Markets are going to do what markets are going to do, but a clearly defined risk management protocol can help to mitigate large drawdowns in your retirement nest egg. If you're concerned where all this might be headed, call me at 850-900-5200 and let's talk about ways to mitigate the risk in your portfolio.
Make Jamie your first call for that second opinion. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Orthopedic pain and injury deserves effective treatment options now, so you feel better fast. Whether you have joint pain that won't subside or an urgent orthopedic injury, we are the specialists to get you back on your feet. And there's only one thing better than fast care: expert care. We believe you deserve both. TOC, only experts. Learn more at teamtoc.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Of expansion already. And the story coming out of the meeting and with the CFP, the College Football Playoff Management Committee. And so right when we got done making fun of some of the ways that they describe a conversation at the end of the last segment, I was noting that the 3-3-2-2-1 format being socialized amongst athletic administrators is just part of a process. It's not the final model. They're trying to adapt a model sooner rather than later because the format starts in 2026 as part of the new college football playoff television contract. That television contract is a big one, as in over $1 billion. And it's not signed. Nobody can finish off the deal with ESPN because they can't agree just yet.
Apparently, the one that ESPN clouded, and remember, we clamored that they said that they had it agreed.
They said it was agreed to, and people pushed back immediately.
It was $118 million a game is what it broke down to. $118 million a game, which when you look at the rising price of live television, live sports, Peacock, which forced us to all log in the NFL playoffs to watch, I think it was Dolphins and Chiefs. I think that was the Peacock game.
People did, by the way. It drew huge numbers.
They paid $110 for that. So it just tells you the popularity of college football. Now, of course, the Super Bowl is worth more than the conference championships in the NFL, but college football now is worth, according to the deal that ESPN has, if it goes through, nearly $120 million per playoff game.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
Well, and if you think back, like we do a history lesson here, it is fun to think in just my time. Well, hell, just my time working with you. But I mean, if I go back to when I started in radio in '98, which is weird to say out loud, but
it does feel a little bit longer than when I first started with you. 98 feels a little bit farther away.
Yeah. Well, it's just like you see draft prospects now in the NFL that were born in, and many of them were born in 2002, 2003. Really? I mean, that's nuts to have somebody, you're like, oh, dude was born in 2003, 2004.
The sophomore year of high school for me.
I've been done with college for years and years and years, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts.
You file for Social Security.
Yeah. All right. So back to this really quickly. The format starts in 2026. It's part of that new college football playoff television contract. 2024, 2025 is already set. Remember, that's a 12-team playoff. That's already done. They're not changing that. That can't get changed. Automatic qualifiers for the 5 highest-ranked conference champions and 7 at-large spots. That's what that is, just so you know. The 3-3-2-2-1 format is kind of what everybody thinks is going to happen. Commissioners have discussed, not socialized, but rather discussed, Tom, a variety of expansion models since that was agreed to. Most of them expanding the 12-team field to a 14-team field and granting multiple automatic berths to the 4 major conferences. The 3-3-2-2-1 format is seen as a compromise to the Big Ten and the SEC's initial proposal. I already brought that up, but for people just joining us, that's because they wanted 4. They wanted 4 automatic, 4 AQs, and there was pushback. They said, no, we're not doing all that. You're not getting 4. I know you're bigger and better and badder and all that stuff, but we're not doing 4. Okay, so what about 3? All right, 3 it is. A 14-team playoff would just leave 1 at-large spot if they had done that, by the way, the old way. They weren't going to do that. So college football playoff spokesmen, leaders, for lack of a better term, are under an urgent timeline. A format for a future playoff is an unresolved issue currently. Commissioners have to have that wrapped up, figured out, ribbon on it, in order to extend the ESPN deal through 2031. A contract worth, and I had it wrong, I said $1.2 billion. I just looked it up. It's $1.3 billion. That is, according to multiple reports from ESPN themselves. The college football playoff revenue sharing model, the voting structure, or other unresolved issues are also on the table. Bill Hancock believes, that's the executive director of the college football playoff, that the issues need to be solved within a month, within this next month. It's got to get it. We got to figure it all out. Votes got to be unanimous. All of this got to be done by the end of the next month. All right, let me go back to this for a second again. So you have the Big Ten and the SEC swelling to a combined 34 members. Okay, you got 2 super conferences, which is what we said this was going to be. And I frankly would tell you right now that where all this is going, if there was a point where you had diminishing returns with the excess money for the SEC and the Big Ten, and you could compete for a lesser amount and stay in the ACC and be guaranteed that it's going to be a 2-bid league no matter what, I'd stay in the ACC. F you. Go, you guys get after each other. We'll go over here and dominate this sorry-ass conference every year, and off we go to the playoffs. Easily. We'll fall into second place in worst-case scenario. When we're operating in peak efficiency, Florida State is never going to finish outside the top 2 of the ACC as currently constructed. When we're operating in peak efficiency, never going to happen. Now, in years that you do, well, you suck. So that's just the end of that. You don't even need to complain about it, all right? So the point would be, I would take that, but of course that's not the way this is, because it's not diminishing at all, Tom. And the television revenue is immense that you'd be missing out on, because the SEC wants, and so does the Big Ten, and rightfully so, a much larger share from the college football playoff contract with ESPN. They want a lion's share. And so you can't do that, because then your coach gets stolen and your facilities fall behind and you got no shot. So it still remains, for those of you wondering, it still remains true that you got to get the hell up out of here, and soon.
Yeah, the only way you could even begin to have a negotiation is that if we get into the playoff, we get the full price. Like, the team who makes it gets the full price.
Yeah.
So
and the rest of you bums get whatever
you get the conference
scraps
payout
that they're throwing you.
You get the television payout in equal shares or whatever.
15%.
If we make the playoff, we get every dollar of one of the two ACC AQs. So the two teams that make it, if it's $100 million, they both get 50.
That's a blood war right there, buddy. Trying to get into that top two, man, that would get ugly.
But we're not going to do that because we're going to move to a better conference.
We're going to move to one of these two. It's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later, which brings me to another point, which is one we made already. The ACC will not have two automatic qualifiers once FSU and Clemson ride. And God forbid Carolina and say Miami. Forget it. You don't get any. Go to hell. You get nobody. What are we going to have Rice in the playoff? Get out of here. So we're not doing
all I know is Rice.
So it's fascinating, right? So it is clear now that everything we argued about why Florida State had to fight like hell to get out of here as soon as possible because the day of reckoning was coming and it was moving to a power two, and that the Big Ten and the SEC were going to take complete control of the college football playoff world. And we didn't want to be excluded from the big boy table because we anteed up years and years and years ago. We're not investing millions upon millions of dollars in a new stadium and a coach contract and everything else so we can be over here sucking off the hind teat. We're not doing that. We're going to be in the big boy club.
No teat sucking.
No. So that's where you and then people like Pat Forty and others, the selfish administration at Florida State. Get the hell out of here. That naive bull. Everybody who had a ounce of reason to them understood what Florida State was doing. They just were disingenuous actors writing articles, self-serving at that. They had to know. We all knew this is where this was going, and it's happened sooner. Admittedly, it's happened a little faster than maybe we thought it would, but it's already happened. It was going to happen. The second Texas and Oklahoma got plucked, it was on. It was ball game. It was ball game. You could argue even more. You could go back further, but I still say once Texas and Oklahoma, once the SEC said, we don't care what's good for college football, and we certainly don't care about our brothers at the Big 12. We're going to go ahead and take the two most notable, the only franchises that matter in that entire conference, and we're going to bring them over here to better ourselves.
I'm going to say something to make me sound like Jimbo. Is once TiVo came around, that was it. Seriously.
Yeah.
Once on-demand television was a thing. Now, Jimbo, but what's TiVo? That was it. TiVo. Once you had on-demand viewership of everybody's favorite programs during the week, everything else but sports could be when you want it. Yes. Instead of we've got to set the alarm, babe. 7:50. Yeah. Everybody loves Raymond's coming on. We got to catch that at 8:00 on a Monday. It's not that way anymore. The only thing left is sports. And once that happened, that sports was the only appointment television, not named, say, Game of Thrones in a 10-year span of time, then this is where this was all headed. And at light speed.
Was Game of Thrones the last appointment television for a large swath of America? It came after Breaking Bad. It came after Sopranos. It came after The Wire. It came after like all of the great shows that we talk about over the years. It was the last of those, right?
Yeah. During COVID, The Last Dance was appointment because everybody had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And apparently Shogun on FX is going to be one of those.
We'll see. But
I got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm sure it's awesome, but I don't know that a nation is flocking to Shogun. I will just tell you they did. You might
this nation.
Right here. I can tell you're going to want to watch it, but that's great. I'm not knocking it. I saw the original Shogun, by the way. This was done before you were born. This has already happened.
1985?
It was before that. No, I think Shogun was before that. But anyhow, back to this. Yeah. So all of these disingenuous, intellectually dishonest actors who act like Florida State is a problem for looking after themselves for something that they could see happening clear as day, and they knew was happening too. They all get exposed every time that happens. It drives me nuts, and it doesn't take that long, thankfully. The light shines bright on those today. I mean, back to this. I could go on and on. The format, again, growing gap between the tiers of those playing college football. This is what we're seeing now. It's the Power 2 and everybody else.
Well, it's an untold pipeline that even when we were doing board of trustees meetings and telling the world through public streams what we were about, we were talking about the base television contract differential. We weren't talking about an expanded playoff contract differential. So these, like, you were doing the math. We were talking the other day about if you had private equity, how long would it take to pay off? And that is all based on non-playoff revenue. But college football playoff revenue, on top of what we were considering, would speed up the process of paying back or paying off the ACC for whatever agreement we come to, because that is a brand new source of revenue at this level. We were thinking in terms of 4 teams. The 12 teams going to pay out more. And if they wrangle more control of the 14-team payout and they say us as Power 2 get more money than you do.
Well, it's that is proposed.
And it's going to happen.
Yes.
But all I'm saying is, yes, it only makes our decision more correct because you can pay it off all the quicker. We weren't considering those dollars at all.
It was always correct, but it's even more so, yes. There would be 2 first-round buys. And I'll give you the rest of that when we come back, because it's infinitely fascinating. We all care about this. It affects us directly as diehard college football fans and most notably as Noles. But if you just care about the sport, you care about this because it's changing so fast right before our eyes. There's so much good in this and there's so much bad. It's very polarizing. It's fascinating that way. Like, you and I could point out all the good things about this that needed to happen years and years and years ago. And we could also point out, man, you kind of destroyed the uniqueness of college football. We are moving towards the NFL. I mean, this is really moving towards the NFL. It is the NFL's playoff system.
It is legitimately.
It's legitimately the NFL's playoff system.
Yeah, you just split the bracket in half, and it's the exact same thing.
It's the exact same thing, right? Which nobody wanted because the NFL does it better already. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Florida's public schools will have more flexibility heading into next school year. The House approved the first of a series of school deregulation proposals Wednesday morning. The goal is to get rid of redundancies and streamline regulations for Florida's public schools. The first one, which targets school finances and administrative duties. The bill passed Wednesday would give school districts some flexibility on how they use some federal money. It would also allow districts to publish their proposed budgets online instead of requiring them to be printed in newspapers. Lawmakers are expecting to continue to remove public school regulations in the years to come. A school bus carrying 16 students was involved in a crash Wednesday morning around 8:15 a.m. FHB said the school bus was traveling southbound in the left turn lane of Crawfordville Highway. The school bus turned left onto Taft Drive when it failed to stay in a single lane. As a result, the school bus collided with the left front side of an SUV, which was stopped at a stop sign on Taft Drive. There were no injuries. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 68. Winds out of the east, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Lows level off around 54. Thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 73. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 68 degrees.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu. Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
This I say get through as if it's a chore. It's not. It's interesting. It's fascinating to me. But here we go. The 14-team model. First, we said earlier, like in the NFL, 2 first-round buys. The additional playoff games in the bracket would be played at the home field of the higher seed based on the current format.
Okay.
You like that? I know you do. I thought of you when I read that. In the current 12-team format, the 4 highest-ranked conference champions get a bye.
Right. So we're screwed out of a home game when we win this conference this year.
Mm-hmm. Seeds 5 through 8 host seeds 9 through 12. That's how that works.
Can't wait to go play in the Fiesta Bowl. Yay.
Quarterfinals and semifinals are held at the bowl sites. According to Dellinger's piece, more automatic qualifying bids could increase the value of the regular season as teams jockey to position themselves in the conference standings. AQs also removed the subjectivity from the college football playoff selection committee that screwed Florida State. Just say he didn't say that, I did. We're removing the subjectivity that bent Florida State over. Ross should have wrote that. I could have helped him. However, the high number of automatic qualifiers, whether it's 2, 3, 4, may remove some of the incentive to hold conference championship games. You think, Ross? It completely removes them. There's no reason to play a conference championship game. None, zero, nada, zilch. No reason. You're both getting in anyhow. What's the point?
Yeah, it would be to play your younger kids. That's what the
It'd
game
be an
would
exhibition game. These were always money grabs and nonsense to begin with.
There's a way to pivot, and I'll bet they will, because you're not going to turn down that money. You're not going to say no to new money, existing money, even when you welcome in some new money. And I think that would be for the final automatic qualifier spot or for an at-large spot. So the 2 teams that don't make the AQ in the SEC,
they play each other.
They play each other in a game. Yep, for a de facto AQ spot, even though it's at large.
And you're the 5th place team in the league.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
We're playing for 4th in the SEC. We're playing for 4th in the Big Ten.
There are going to be years where they just played each other.
Yeah.
You're like, well, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, buddy. I think those league title games are about to go the way of the dodo. I see where you're going. I mean, listen.
Well, we currently have conference tournaments in basketball.
It's the dumbest thing
everybody
in the world.
knows what teams are making it from those conferences.
It's also the dumbest thing in the world. That was always a money grab as well. It's stupid. But anyhow,
it has persisted despite 68 teams getting it.
It drives me nuts that I could be a conference champion and say the ACC, win 20 effing something games, and then they're like, oh, nope, got to go win the tournament. No, I don't. I just played a whole season of games in this league, home and away. Tuesday night, back to back. Get the hell out of here with this nonsense. I will say there was a good story. Speaking of Yahoo Sports, there was a good story on the league title games in an expanded playoff. And it was talking about this being a huge issue. Several of the college football playoff and college football leaders acknowledged that, quote, and it made me laugh, a deeper examination of the championship games is now necessary. That was the quote. How great is that? Yes, it is, because they're buffoonish.
Yeah, the only way you can make this work and make it palatable and not mediocre football is if you were to say that your regular season champion is an AQ in your standings. And maybe in the SEC and the Big Ten's case, you can say 2. So we'll work from the power 2. That's where we're going. So your top 2 finishers are in. Your 3rd and 4th place finishers play in this game that already exists in Atlanta or in Indianapolis for the final AQ spot. The loser of that game, we'll see if they get picked. And that would be the drama that they're trying to create. You're not going to give away that inventory, I don't think.
I don't know what they're going to do here. It's supplanted with even more money with the playoff. I don't know. I don't think you need it's redundant. You don't need it.
You don't need any of this stuff.
Well,
they had 12, and they're like, well, we don't really need 14, but we could get 14.
You can get 16.
14.
You should stop doing all this nonsense and go to 16 and be done. I mean, once you went to 12, you should have gone to 16.
You should see the way we can do bye weeks at 18. I got to tell you.
Everybody gets in. The regular season, why watch it? Everybody's going to play in a tournament.
And this is why it is socialized in these breakout groups.
So it's going to be fascinating to see how quickly they can get this done and get the powers that be in these conferences to agree on this, because there's a lot. Again, if I'm Jim Phillips, now he doesn't, he acquiesces to everything that is not in his best interest. Maybe he feels he doesn't have a hand to play, and I think he's right. But he can't say for a lot of reasons. I don't think he can concede by saying, yeah, we'll just take the 2, that we are a lesser conference. We are not on the same plane. We are not as competitive financially or physically on the field of play. He can't say it in the middle of a lawsuit that is accusing them of that, as having effed us out of the money. I mean, I was about to get more sophisticated than that, but it's the money. And Florida State said, in essence, in their lawsuit, look, your former commissioner dropped the ball. This commissioner was placating to help his son get a job.
Chad.
And he screwed us, and we got lapped. You're incompetent. This conference is not a Power 5, and we want out because you're capping our income. You're capping our ability to compete. If Jim says, we'll take the 2 automatic, he just said, yes, Florida State, you are correct about everything.
We all Chad conference. That's who we are.
So it'll be interesting. Now, maybe if you're him, you're like, well, I mean, if I don't take the 2.
Wait a minute. You're assuming that he's going to summon a spine. I could feel you like he's muscling up. There is no muscling up. Well, okay. That's him muscling up. Okay.
I do think, well, I do wonder, man, he could say, look, we're never going to get more than 2. That's for sure. Okay. And I'm not sure we're going to get 2 if this thing plays out the way it's looking like it's going to, and we lose our most valuable assets. If I agree to the 2, can I have it in writing that in the contract that it stays at 2, no matter what happens with the Florida State deal?
Right. Because the at-larges aren't going to us.
Ever. Ever. So I guess if you're him, you'd say, look, I'll agree to 2. All right. But it has to stay 2 when Clemson and Florida State bolt from this conference and we lose the 2 most valuable assets we have.
You know who's salivating right now and who should be? NC State, Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
Louisville's like, yes, baby.
Yeah, we're in.
Every year. We're going every year.
Miami should be happy. They might actually make some sort of
well, Miami's like, it's going to be close, but you know what?
Miami's like, we could maybe finish in the top 2 in a league that does not feature Clemson or Florida State.
It's going to be tight.
We might have a chance to actually win this conference if Florida State and Clemson leave. We never have won it. We've never won it. We only got in the final game once. We've never come close to winning the damn conference. The one time we got there, we got blown the hell out. We have never come close to winning this conference, and now maybe Florida State and Clemson leave, and we've got a shot to be one of the 2 best in this sorry-ass league.
Guys, we could do it this year. We don't see Duke or Georgia Tech on the schedule. We could do it.
That's right. It's a year in which we don't have to play our arch nemesis, Duke. We do have – hey, double-check the out-of-conference. Do we have Middle Tennessee State at home? I hope not. That turned into a bloodbath last time. Dropped 40-plus on us.
We're going to make it, guys.
Ran it up.
We're going to make this. It's as simple as a kneel down.
Well, whatever the ACC agrees to, it is certainly going to be fascinating because Florida State is most certainly not going to be here. So again, if it wasn't such a devastating financial hit, I'd love to stay in this conference if it was a 2-bid league, guaranteed, I'd stay here all day, but you can't.
I cannot wait for number 15 Notre Dame at 8-3 to be playing on the road at NC State. Final game of the year. They lose at the buzzer, and then the committee bumps them up to number 14 because that's what's going to happen at 8-4. Well, a lot of teams lost around them. Notre Dame's up at number. So how did they climb after their 4th loss of the season?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you know,
I think they're going to end up
a good strength of schedule.
No, I'm with you, Toby. Screw Notre Dame. Screw them. I mean, we're reaching our wits' end here. Time's up. Join the Big Ten and be done with it already. I mean, it always made sense for them to join the Big Ten. I don't know why they haven't. Well, I do know why they haven't, but I think they're going to be forced to now. You're potentially missing out on a lot of effing money on an annual basis. I mean,
top 14's a wide berth. That's a long runway to land on every year. Top 14? The way they schedule, too, objectively, they do schedule tough. So they could have 3 losses in there. It's like 9 wins we're in every year in the playoff.
Yeah, you're probably right. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Kimmer Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Friendly neighborhood bar and grill just got a whole lot closer to home. You can now order delicious Smitty's Tap House and Grill for delivery directly to your doorstep. Just visit Smitty'sTapHouse.com, click the order online button, and choose pickup or delivery. Enjoy Smitty's famous handmade pretzel with beer cheese, juicy pub burger, or even the amazing schnitzel sandwich, delivered fresh right to your doorstep. Support local and order online today for takeout or delivery at Smitty'sTapHouse.com, where everybody knows his name.
Have you been in a wreck on I-10? I'm Carrie Roan, shareholder and attorney at Fasig Brooks Law Offices. Our number one priority is helping you get the settlement you deserve after your accident. We can help find the proof you need to settle your claim fairly. At Fasig Brooks, we partner with Road Proof to record all interstate traffic camera footage from Jacksonville to Pensacola. If you've been in a wreck on I-10, our footage could be vital in supporting your case. Call Fasig Brooks today, 850-777-7777.
I'm Greg Tisch here to share one of my favorite TCC stories. In the summer of 1966, Eugene Lamb wanted to stay in shape before leaving to play college basketball in Louisiana. So he jogged to Tallahassee from his home in Midway and helped lay the bricks for the first building on what's now the TCC campus on Appleyard Drive. Today, he is a longtime member of the TCC District Board of Trustees. It's no exaggeration when we say Trustee Lamb helped build TCC into what it is today.
TCC thanks our community for 58 years of support. We look forward to moving into the future together.
You probably already know that Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is your one-stop destination for all pool maintenance needs, offering everything you need from chemicals, cleaners, vacuums, nets, and more. But that's not all. Pinch a Penny also carries a huge selection of premium hot springs hot tubs paired with easy financing options, making these luxury hot tubs affordable for everyone. And if you have an older hot tub and you're worried about the hassle of removing it, worry no more. Pinch a Penny will not only remove and haul away your old hot tub, but also offer a trade-in value for a credit towards your new one. So why wait? Visit Pinch a Penny's 12,000 square foot showroom today on Greer Road and discover how effortless and affordable owning a fantastic hot tub can be. Find out more at TallahasseeHotSpring.com. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Tampa Bay lining $1.62 favorite at home with the Buffalo Sabres at Amalie Arena. Buffalo the plus 136 underdog. The total is 6.5. That number is shaded to the under. Rory McIlroy 7-1 with the Cognizant Classic of the Palm Beaches, a PGA National Resort. The event formerly known as the Honda Classic. Cameron Young, 22-1. Russell Henley, 25-1. Kyle Larson, the 4-1 favorite with the Pennzoil 400 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Florida Gators over Missouri, 83-74 last night, but they did not cover as 13-point home favorite. Get your free VSiN subscription right now at VSIN.com. For more sports betting news and information, go to VSIN.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Zaxby's Sensation Salad is so much more than a plain old salad. It's a salad, which begs the question, at what point does a salad stop being a salad and become a salad? Is it when you add Zaxby's fried chicken to it? Crunchy wontons? Asian slaw? Citrus vinaigrette? Teriyaki glaze? Sweet and spicy sauce? Or is it when you top it all with a handmade perfectly fried egg roll? Without a doubt, the egg roll. The Sensation Salad, only at Zaxby's.
If you've been waiting and waiting for the perfect time to buy your new house, you'll be waiting forever. This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I have been a mortgage lender for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is no such thing as perfect timing. So take the first step towards your new home and let me show you what that really looks like. Chances are very high that you'll be very surprised at what I can help you do. When rates go low, prices go high, and that home that you've been eyeballing could be gone. If you're wondering how the drop in interest rates is going to affect your payment, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to show you all of the options available to get you into your new home. And for every single loan that we close for a fellow Knoll, I will personally donate $250 per closing to the Battle's End. Let's do this together and let's keep climbing. Call me today at 954-369-6171. That's 954-369-6171. Or you can find me online at loansforknolls.com. That's loansforknolls.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373031.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2,
Not when you read the actual story, it's not a gross headline. It is when you just see the headline. And the headline reads, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones must take paternity test. It's like, oh, goodness gracious. What is going on here? Well, here's what's going on. Just so you know. I'd read that headline and I recoiled a little bit. Couldn't help it. I'm a visual guy. I was immediately thinking, no. You talk about sacrificing everything for the money.
It's a big year for the Cowboys.
Oh, my goodness. That's one of those where you read it and you go, drugs are amazing because there's no chance. A judge has upheld a decision requiring Cowboys owner Jerry Jones to take a paternity test as part of a legal dispute with a 27-year-old woman, so you're getting nervous, who says that the billionaire is her father. Okay. I feel better about this. Whatever accusation is going on here, it's very specific, actually. I don't need to say whatever. That had been 27 years ago, 28 years ago. But, okay. A little bit more palatable.
Was that about how long ago their last playoff win was? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So a big night after the win. A Texas judge said, rejected an appeal from Jones of a 2022 ruling in a paternity case brought by Alexandria Davis, who previously alleged in a separate lawsuit that she was conceived from a relationship that he had with her mother in the mid-90s, Tommy. That was the last time.
The glory days. So they have 4 playoff wins since the 96 playoffs. But maybe 27, 96. Man, I mean, it was a big day when they beat the Minnesota Vikings in 1996.
In 2022, she sued him in Dallas County, asking a judge to void a legal agreement she said her mother, Cynthia Davis, reached with Jones 2 years after she was born. So we'll see. I just am glad that the headline wasn't like this is happening from 9 months ago or something.
The 40-15 win over Minnesota in the 96 playoffs.
Oh, it's lopsided. They had plenty of time to get excited.
Jerry was a happy man.
The other part of what we were talking about last hour, which was entirely the new format that the College Football Playoff Committee is looking at, and how quickly. Well, and we were laughing about the fact that if you look at the history of all this and the discussion and the talking points, we could never have a playoff. Then all of a sudden we have 12 teams, and now it's already 14 before we even have 12. We're moving to 14. Most think it's going to end up 16. The 2 super conferences clearly leading the charge. But remember, the other thing that was always brought up back then, these are student athletes. That's just too many games.
What about exams?
Yeah, what about them? Pretty soon, a team's going to have to win 20 games to win a national championship. It'll be longer than the NFL season.
Seriously.
You're not far off.
And you have the 4-game rule for redshirting purposes. You might have to bump that up to 5 or 6 because
you're going to need bodies.
Well, and if you clinch an AQ berth and it's November 3rd because it's a down year for your conference, just play your freshmen for,
That's actually kind of fun.
It's like a reverse preseason. So your starters can go and they can play in a quarter, then a half, then 3 quarters as you gear up towards the playoff. But there's a ton of exposure now for true freshmen. That's probably the future of things here, not too far from today.
Yeah, that part is fun. I mean, the sooner you get an opportunity to see those guys play and not have to suffer the consequences of losing a year or whatever, that would be a lot of fun. I did see there's other aspects of this story that I did not touch on. One of them has to do with the fact that, and this has been reported in several places, that, and we kind of ventured a guess about this some time ago, Tom, and that is the SEC and the Big Ten at some point are just going to say, listen, this is what we want. If you want to play ball and be a part of this, great. If you don't, we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do, and we're just going to break away, and you guys can play whatever you're going to play over there, but we're going to be over here doing this. And ultimately, and we'll make our own rules to do it, by the way.
The Aramco College Football Playoff.
But remember, we were saying, okay, look, there's no doubt Florida State's already in that, right? That's what they want to be. They want to be part of that. So as far as how any of that would affect Florida State and what they're doing and what their desires are, it doesn't. I mean, Florida State's attempting to do that right now because they know potentially that is going to happen, and they want to be part. They want to be in it. And the sooner this could happen, the better, by the way, because I do value other aspects of football and other, I like to see something on even footing for all involved. I like to know when I'm watching, for example, obviously year to year it changes, but if I watch games between Marshall and Temple. I'll watch a game between Boston College and, Richmond. I'll sit around. Good game, right? I'll sit around and watch that, knowing what it is. Okay, they are not part of this. They don't want to be. They can't. They don't have the money. They don't have the backing. They've never wanted to be part of this, where this is headed. So we're all going to go take our ball and go over here, and you're going to go over there, and you're going to basically be playing semi-pro football, and we're going to be back over here still governed by the NCAA playing college football. And we'll agree to what the NCAA's rules are, even though the courts haven't, because we've decided we need to have a governing body, and we're going to do it over here. Some semblance of that.
Yeah, just the thing is, a lot of the old ways and traditions are totally gone now. Like, they're gone because you're in a 12-team playoff. It already has begun. The 14-team playoff is going to move it a little bit. But get ready to not be crushed by a loss in a given weekend anymore in the way that you always were when there were two seats at the table or there were bowl tie-ins and you needed something to break your way in order to be sure that you could have a consensus title with the AP poll and the coaches poll. Like, it's going to change now. Losses don't matter nearly as much, especially when you're the college football playoff committee selecting the top 4 teams in last year's field.
Yeah.
But this is if you have 3 AQs in a conference, you can schedule as aggressively as you want. Out of conference, it doesn't matter.
Well,
if you lose an out of conference mega tilt if you're in the SEC with the Big Ten, that has no bearing on your AQ status.
No.
And all it does is it elevates your at-large status. So there are going to be better matchups across the conferences.
Good part. That's the good part. We always said that if they expanded, because under the old system, it behooved you to schedule a bunch of bums. I mean, and I used to get mad. I understood that the value of a game between, say, Florida State and Texas A&M, or Florida State at a conference against, name your team, Michigan, Notre Dame, whomever. You wanted to see that just because you're a fan of college football and you want to see better games and more high-profile contests. But when this was a race to see who could play for the national championship and be ranked in the top 2, top 3, top 4, and put yourself in a position to have a chance to play for a national title game, I used to say all the time, hey, I don't care. I would play nobody out of conference. We already play Florida. There's no reason. Remember, for years, I'd be like, there's no reason. You already play Florida. You should never schedule anybody who's any good at all. It ought to be a bunch of ass whoopings. That's all they should be, automatic ass whoopings. Because if you go undefeated, you're going to play for the national title, and this is about winning rings. That's what this is about. So you're right. That changes now. Every week is extraordinary. And I've dared to dream with all of this, too, because you in some situations, you're going to have a schedule that's better than the one that Florida has this year upcoming. That Florida schedule is insane. We joke about it all the time. Yeah. You could have that schedule. Now, still tough. I mean, you got to win enough games to be in consideration. But yeah, you could have a year where if you're really good and you have 5 or 6 games against teams ranked in the top 10, all right, we can lose 2 of those. We'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to react to wins and losses more like an NFL fan. The counter argument to all of this is, before it all began, is that the playoff is every week, man. It's live or die every week. If you lose once, you're probably done.
You're in trouble.
Unless you get super lucky. If you lose once, you're done. So the live or die nature of Saturday never matched up with Sunday, where you could be a Buccaneers fan like us or on the West Coast and a fan of a team out there. You lose on a Sunday, it hurts.
Yeah.
But it ain't devastating the way that in 1996, losing one football game would matter to any one of the top 5 teams in the country.
Buddy, yeah.
Your season is over if you're just thinking about championship or bust.
Yeah, the year we lost to Southern Miss to start the year, you're like, well, that's grand opening, grand closing.
That is no longer the case. Now, it hasn't been for a little while, but now it's really, really in a different place.
Well, and if you're in one of those 2 super leagues when you have all the built-in advantages and everything else, you're already going to play a murderous schedule. Look what the leagues are now.
If you're at Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama right now, 10-2 multiple years in a row is going to get you fired. 10-2 is not a bad season anymore. It's going to change. 10-2 is going to be fine because it's going to put you in AQ status, which is all they really care about, unless you're hunting down a bye. But still, 10-2 is completely different 3 years from now than it was 3 years ago.
Oh, without question. And in that part of it, we talk about the revenue for a city like Tallahassee. And you join the remodeled SEC. Any given weekend in Tallahassee for your home slate could be a year where you have, let's say Clemson and Florida State end up in the SEC, like so many think, all right? And they've already added, as we know, Texas and Oklahoma. So now all of a sudden, in addition to Georgia and Tennessee and Florida and Alabama and LSU and Texas A&M and Auburn and Clemson and Florida State, I mean, any given year, your schedule at home could be Florida, Clemson, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama. I mean, they're your home games.
And Michigan. I'm telling you, these two conferences are going to have cross-conference games in a challenge. They're going to do that. It might be early in the season. Maybe it's before they get into conference play. It's going to happen, though, because these two want to work together. Desperately, they want to work together. Give each other inventory on the other channels. Dude, these two conferences are going to be the yin and the yang of college football, and they're going to work. So even if we're in the Big Ten, we will get multiple SEC games a year, one home, one on the road, because the two they're going to work together. It's just the way it's going to be. Now, the thing that sucks is the smaller schools that have their athletic budgets paid for by games.
Yeah, they're screwed.
Maybe one a year. Maybe one. It might go down to 0. You might not have a single opponent like that.
I think you will. You'll have one.
Now you can have 2 or 3.
Well, you're going to have they're going to have it's going to be a 9-game conference schedule, right? So a 9-game conference schedule.
Yeah. They might go 9-2-1.
Yeah.
The power 2. They make an agreement.
Yeah.
They say, because I mean the networks want more inventory. But the thing is that while it's going to be really fun for a big portion of the season, if you get AQ status, like I said, and it's November,
you just play your freshmen, yeah.
Get ready to see some freshmen play in a given week. Like all of your backups. There's going to be a week where it's almost like load management for the NBA. It's like, man, I'm paying how much money for a season ticket, but since we got the AQ, even though a quasi-rival's coming to town, like for us, what would that be? NC State, Louisville? Like somebody who's better than Boston College.
Yeah.
So it could be Auburn. Auburn's coming to town. It'd be a lot of fun to see all our players play against Auburn, but since we won so much,
there are going to be decisions made just like in the NFL all the time, where coaches decide, I've got a banged up running back who's a star. I got a banged up wide receiver who's a star. My best defensive tackle is complaining that he's got soreness in his hamstring. Can't afford to lose him if we want to win this whole thing. You know what? This weekend, I'm sitting my guys. I'm sitting my starting quarterback, starting running back, and best defensive tackle, which means we're going to lose this football game against a very quality opponent this on the road at the Steelers or whatever. That happens in the NFL all the time. And you take that loss because, like you said, it really doesn't mean all that much. And you're going to see this in college football. There are going to be weeks where coaches just go, look, it's a cool game. I really like to beat Auburn. I'd really like to beat Mississippi State or whatever, but I need these guys healthy long-term. We got bigger games down the line.
Well, I only need one more win. I got 3 games to go. And this week they're all banged up. So I'm gonna say we're gonna win one of the next 2 games after that because we've got a patsy. So yeah, this week we're gonna punt. And if we win, that's great, but it's gonna look a lot different.
Not as good as Tallahassee's Zaxby's. Proud Golden Chief boosters. Have been for more than 19 years. Golden brown chicken, just tasty. Ooh, you had some yesterday.
I did. It was delightful.
Did you get the fingers? Did you get the sandwich? What'd you do?
I got the sandwich. And I said, instead of the Zax sauce, which is delightful.
It is good.
I want that barbecue sauce. And they said, no problem.
Did you use the word slather?
No, because I took it on the side. The sauce on the side.
I just like an excuse to say slather.
Well, that's what I did, though.
Yeah.
Active verb. A little bit
done.
of slathering was done.
Mm-hmm.
You still get the pickles with the The pickles and the barbecue is a nice little combo flavor.
A little tangy. A little tangy, and then also a little sweet. There's just a little mix.
There's just a slight bit of heat. I don't call it spicy because I like spicy food.
Yeah, me too.
The barbecue is just
it's not spicy.
It's warmth. A little warmth.
Okay, I like that. Add a little warmth to my already delightfully warm chicken.
Split top bun.
Did you get the Texas toast? You didn't yesterday.
I didn't. No.
You're like, I'm being gluttonous enough by getting the buns.
That's right.
Split top as they are.
Well, and the fries as delicious as they are. Again, gluttony, right? You got to So I said, hey, director, what you say about some of these fries? And
You did the right thing.
He's like, I'm in.
73 Zaxby's in Tallahassee, folks. 73 to choose from. That's a lot. That's a lot. Really can't miss it. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
You've heard about the thousands of patients finally getting relief from chronic joint pain thanks to QC Kinetics non-invasive treatments. And here's one who was determined to avoid surgery. Meet Vicky.
The orthopedic surgeon said, well, you're going to need knee replacement sooner rather than later. I kept hearing commercials about QC Kinetics and thought, well, I'm going to check them out first.
QC Kinetics has treated over 20,000 patients like Vicky around the country. People who were told they needed surgery but chose a more natural, less invasive approach that uses regenerative treatments to help heal and restore painful joints with no downtime.
If QC Kinetics had not been what I expected, I would have gone through with the surgery, but I got so much relief, am now pretty much pain-free that I don't have to have the surgery.
Before going under the knife, you need to check out QC Kinetics. The consultation is free. Call today.
Call QC Kinetics, 850-391-4280. That's 850-391-4280. 850-391-4280.
A cup of Joe, Java, Brew, Go-Go Beans, Brainwater, Liquid Lightning, Wakey Juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
If you're looking for a new couch, you could cut down on expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive. Because you know you've had this couch for too long. Sure, you've had good times together, but a ripped-up cushion is not a fond memory. It's a sign. Notice how other people have couches with 2 armrests? Now that's living, right? No, it's just normal. So bundle your renters and car insurance with Progressive and put the savings toward a new couch. Please, it's time. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
Tax Talk with Straight Talk. You give and you give. This tax season, you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data and a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended silver unlimited plan. So you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah!
Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the silver unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
and weights and all the goodness and all that. We should solve for the future with, well, it's ISF time, and ISF is always fun to talk about because they collaborate. They don't just barge in with their own ideas. They say, "Oh no, let's listen. Let's listen carefully what they have to say," and then they say, "All right, we got you. We're going to make this whole experience much better and more efficient, and it will not only help your clients. If you work in, say, state government, you want to be more efficient, want your technology to work better. They got you, and your ideas can be realized. It's a good thing. Right now, we're solving for the future as it pertains to, I guess, draft possibilities. Tom is the way to say it for Florida State players. We had this discussion the last few days with the combine. I saw a couple numbers and measurements that went out that really, really have to help Fabian Lovett. He had what you would call monster measurements at the combine, percentiles amongst NFL combine interior defensive line, some of the best since 2000, Tom. Came in at nearly 6'4", 6'3", 7/8. He weighed 314 pounds. His arm length, 35.5 inches, is tied for the third longest by an inside defensive lineman in combine history.
Wow.
He, so the wingspan is massive. The hand size is massive. The numbers were nice. Jared Verse, also positive results, 6'4.5", 257, 254. I've seen that was good. That worked out well. Not so good for some others. Now, I will say this, Braden Fisk, if you're wondering, 6'3" and 5/8, 292, arm 31. He was fine. It wasn't going to hurt him.
292 with those quicks. Yeah, that's going to work.
Yeah, he was all right. Not great as it pertains to some others. Kalen DeLoach, a little undersized, to say the least. I think he came in at 210. Did I see that right?
And under 6 feet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's not good, Tom. That's going to be a problem. So we'll see how that affects it. But good news for Fabian Lovett. Good news for Jared Verse. Everything's just fine for Braden Fisk. Not as good for Kalen DeLoach. And I don't, Tatum Bethune's an interesting case. You root for Tatum Bethune. He was a quality linebacker for you. Consistent. I thought he was the most consistent linebacker we had. Played a ton of college football, but he's been banged up in his career. And because he's played a ton of college football, I don't know. I'm not really counting on Tatum Bethune to get drafted high or anything like that. So,
good player. I think to return to the first player on the list in Fabo, we need to remind ourselves
he was never healthy.
That but when he was
good.
It's an NFL player. It is. Now the measurables are there. That's going to help start the conversation. The question is, how does he move when he's out there working out? And I'm assuming he's going to go through the full workouts. The thing that always I would catch my eye when I watched him practice was just how quick his hands were to not allow an offensive lineman engage with him. Like Braden Fisk is a quicker defensive lineman than Fabian Lovett. There's no doubt about that. Fabo's not slow, but Fabo's hands and arms and movements were extremely quick. I remember a drill I've discussed a lot of times when you've got to go and it's like you're high stepping. It's the small little bags they have where or it could even be a rope drill that you do. And you got to watch your footwork. And then also they test your hands at the same time. It's a very difficult drill to do. Two different things at the same time. And Fabo had the fastest hands, man. He looked just like a boxer with how quick he could move.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can show the range of motion, if he got through the medical part of it, okay. With these measurables and the good tape he does have, he's got a chance to be drafted. Very good chance.
Oh, I think he has a chance to be a good player, not just get drafted, but be a good player.
Sure,
I don't think
but we've been talking about him as one of the fringe players of, is it going to work out for him? We know what he was in college, but
this just helped.
This just helped a bunch.
Yeah. Well, I always felt bad. The frustration we felt with him had nothing to do with his desire to get out there and play, Nothing to do with the quality of his play when he did. His snap count was so low here because of the injury that happened against LSU 2 years ago. At the end of the game, it was unnecessary. The whole thing pissed us all off. He was never right after that. That injury in the LSU game in New Orleans, in the last series of the game,
2 LSU games ago,
basically stunted him ever being an impact player for us on the defensive line. I mean, think about that. He was on the cusp. This was a rising star. A lot of people thought that guy was going to be dominant in the way that gets you drafted in the first round. Not one of these, I don't know, maybe he will, maybe he won't kind of conversation. So these measurements are awesome for him. And if when they did, we call it the meat market, when they're just grabbing every part of your body and making sure you're intact and solid, and the ortho exam and all the stuff that we talked about yesterday, if he passed all of that, which you can, listen, these guys have some injuries occasionally that take up to 2 years to heal. Some people are really quick healers. Others are not. The nature of the injury has to be taken into consideration, the amount of times that it has to be revisited through surgery, those kinds of things, and cleaned up, that kind of stuff can have a huge impact. So it doesn't mean it can't be righted. And if he shows the strength to go with those measurables, to go with what's happening, structurally, absolutely he could end up surprising somebody. They could end up getting a gym. That's how it happens. Typically, you're like, I don't really remember him having that big of a college career. If you're watching an NFL game on a Sunday, you remember the name. Did he play at Michigan? He didn't do anything there. I remember he was a 5-star coming out. What happened? Oh, tore his ACL his sophomore year, was never right his junior and senior year, just now got healthy, and my goodness, they got him in the 6th round, and he's dominating. That's how it happens.
Yeah, this has potential to be a good run for Florida State on the defensive line. And there's a chance that happens again for us next year, where that reputation starts to change. Like, for example, there's a quotable yesterday. Jared Verse was at the podium speaking to the media on a host of topics, but he spoke glowingly of John Papuchis and the development that was done, the solving of Jared Verse's future.
Yeah, they changed me, quote unquote.
Right. He says, look at my film at Albany, look at my film now. They changed me. And that is humongous for Florida State when it comes to grabbing recruits. And if you put together 3 draft picks between Jared and Braden and Fabo, let's say Fabo goes, next year you got Peyton. Next year you got Farmer. And if Darrell Jackson plays well enough, I mean, we know that what his measurables are going to look like at the combine.
Very good.
This is how you change your reputation. And good on Jared Verse for continuing what Jermaine Johnson had started, which is letting people know this is a place to come play and get better.
2 things about Jared Verse here. One good, one bad. Here's the good. Yes, he's going to solve somebody's future as a edge rusher and do a very good job of it, because he also became a much better player against the run this past year. The added weight, the added strength, he was already strong. He got stronger. He was already a pretty big guy. He got bigger. And he was still able to rush the quarterback.
Which tells me that the stamina, too, has come up. Because that's a lot of effort to be good against the run. And he played, I know we rotated a lot, but down the stretch, he played so many snaps and he was fresh.
And he dominated. So that's all well and good. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. Good for Jared Verse. He was fun to cover. He was a joy. Played hard every game. Could have done without him saying yesterday that, if I had to do it over again, I'd have played in the Georgia game. We don't need to hear all that. That's unnecessary.
And it would have been dumb.
It would have been dumb. And also, don't say it. You weren't going to play in that game. I'm not buying it. I know why you said it. Don't do it. That bothered me a little bit, but the point would be it's 99% all good for Jared Verse.
Well, he told you in that first interview on the way out.
He did.
I look forward to exceeding your expectations.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He also, the first day I ever saw him working with Coach Papuchis, he was asking intelligent questions. Repeatedly, he'd finish a rep, and Coach would say something to him. He'd ask why. They got into hand placement. They got into the different styles of rush, talked about footwork, talked about all of this stuff. He wanted to know more all the time. That's huge.
The thing it's specific to the defensive line, because, those are the guys who are majority-wise are getting their measurables today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to forget in my lifetime what this defense became when it had to become dominant. And I get that Florida wasn't anything to write home about, but Louisville's offense was averaging nearly 7 yards a play. Went up and down the field on Kentucky, so at least there's a comp there from the SEC. Went up and down the field against Notre Dame. who Ohio State could barely score on. That mighty Notre Dame win that everybody was lauding for Ohio State. Louisville was able to do what it was able to do. I will look at that defense, the way they finished the season, as one of the legendary for Florida State, as a championship-level defense. But damn it, those moments I saw in practice where Verse and Fisk are working together, talking with Odell about how they're going to game it up, work together to get after the quarterback. I really wish I could have seen those two pay it off in the playoff, because I think they would be at the forefront of Florida State fans' minds for a longer time
The thing
if
that
they had
stinks-
the opportunity to do that.
And one of the things that we get mad about with the snub, besides the money it cost Florida State, the opportunity it cost Florida State to win a national championship, don't know if they would have, but they certainly could have been in any game against Michigan. Because as we saw, Michigan was a dominant defense. I don't think Florida State would have gone up and down the field on Michigan, certainly not with an offense that was riddled with injury. But they wouldn't have had to. I think they would have just stacked to stop the run. They would have found a way to eliminate that aspect and tried to win a 16-13, 13-10 type game. And who knows, when you're in a game like that, it could be a lot like the Alabama game that goes to overtime. You got a shot.
And whether you win or you lose it, it's just another performance where you say, man, Braden Fisk was good. Man, Jared Verse was unbelievable. Because that's what we were saying for about 12 hours.
Yeah.
Until the committee did what they did. But they were peaking and going in that direction. Now they're going to get their just reward, and that's the happy part of the ending of this story. But damn it, watching those two play next to each other a couple more times in the Invitational would have been something.
Yeah, it would have been, and you and I and every other Florida State fan will lament this for the rest of our lives and be angered by it every time we talk about it. It is true, but it's not anger that I feel when I talk about our friends at ISF and the collaboration that allow us each week to do Solving for the Future, just as they did with the Department of Health. Grant funding allocation analysis. That's right. That's what they did. Looking for potential efficiencies in funding, IT, and organizational systems. They did it. Recommendations designed to assist the department and help get federal grant funds for increasing its capacity of disease intervention. Hey, there you go. That's what ISF does, amongst many other things. ISF.com. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The 9th annual Cleaver and Cork fundraiser for the Tallahassee Community College Foundation is well underway. Events kicked off at the cocktail party last Sunday, and there's a new restaurant week feature running during the week. It all culminates Friday and Saturday with a signature dinner and food and wine festival. The 4-course meal Friday night will be curated by award-winning celebrity chef Andrew Zimmerman, known for Bizarre Foods TV show. Zimmerman will also host a cooking demonstration during Saturday's festival. Several renovations are expected to make their way to R. Frank Nims Middle School. One of those renovations included a lab specifically dedicated to teaching students technology and design skills. The eSports Lab will provide students with opportunities to gain technology and design skills ranging from game coding and programming to light design and more. Other renovations include a new cafeteria, a new bus ramp, and adding a concession stand and bathrooms inside of the gym. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 68 this afternoon under overcast skies. Winds out of the east, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 54 tonight, overcast skies. Chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 73. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 69 degrees.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Verno Heating and Air Conditioning.
License CAC 1816186.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The pan con lechon, Jeff.
Okay, the pan con chocolate. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at Orange Theory Fitness.
Wedding on the horizon. I look forward to it. So, and my man T. Lizzie going to be dressed to the nines.
Maybe more like 7.5s, but yeah. No tie, because this is not super formal as a reception on Saturday, but yeah, it's going to be fancy enough.
Here's a story that won't shock you. Tyreek Hill is facing a civil lawsuit that alleges that he broke a woman's leg. Now, the other part of this is apparently, and to be fair, even though I don't like giving that guy, given his history, a benefit of the doubt aspect here. It was during a football drill, so I'm a little uncertain about all of this. It's a social media influencer that is accusing him. Her name is Sophie Hall.
Why did you say social media influencer in the way that you did?
Well, because that's a bogus title, but that's what she is. It alleges that Hill forcibly and purposefully pushed her to the ground during a drill at his mansion last summer. The receiver was humiliated when Hall sent him backward in a friendly football lesson, the lawsuit says, resulting in him charging at her violently with great force. The force was crushing to a degree that she sustained a right leg fracture, necessitating surgery with metal hardware implementation. She's seeking only $75,000 in damages, so I don't. It's a weird
basically the cost of the surgery, so her rates don't go up. It seems like a reasonable ask.
I don't know what to believe with this. Obviously, I don't. This is not a guy that I'm a big fan of for all of the stuff that happened before he was ever in the NFL. But I don't know what's real. So it's just a weird story. Football drills at his mansion. What does that even mean?
I have no idea. Well,
was it like for like on video?
It must have been a social media shoot, and it had to be what it was.
If it's on video, then this shouldn't be much to figure out,
right? Unless she's getting tackled while on, and so the camera just goes flying or something along those lines. But yeah, so it sounds like they were horsing around, and then she got the better of him because he was off balance or something, and he got mad. That's what she's saying.
Yeah, she's saying he got mad and retaliated with violence in a football manner that resulted in her having a broken leg.
I mean, in the grand scheme, that's not much. Why did it get this far? Just pay the money.
Yeah. The woman has more than 2 million followers, so she would be an influencer.
Right.
That's what she'd be. He was now you remember he was suspended by the Chiefs back in the day after the allegations that he was abusing his son.
He broke his arm, right?
Yeah, that was the allegation. There was, of course, when he pled guilty to assault and battery for the strangulation and choking of his then fiancée.
She was pregnant.
She was pregnant at the time. That's true. And that he pled guilty to that. That is a thing that happened. So when people get mad and they retort, well, why do you hate Tyreek Hill? Well, he's given us a lot of reasons. A lot of reasons. Choking pregnant women, breaking his son's arm. There's two pretty good ones.
And then don't get me started on what he did to the social media influencer.
I want that footage to come out if it's real.
Oh, it would have already.
I would think it would have
Given
already.
who you're dealing with.
Yeah, that would have had to have come out by now.
It would have had the TikTok noise at the end.
You said two things today that got me thinking. We're talking about getting out of this godforsaken conference, and I allowed myself to dream while we were in a commercial break about Saturdays at Doak that feature either games against Michigan, Ohio State, USC, Oregon, Washington, thinking about the teams that have been added to that league, right? And then I did the same thing and thought, okay, Saturdays at Doak involving LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida. You go on and on and on. It's just so much fun. Just every Saturday would feature that buzz, man.
Yeah, the thing is, for the sake of the city of Tallahassee, I very much hope it's that the SEC is where Florida State goes.
Regionally matters, yeah.
Well, everybody thinks in terms of football, but the economic impact on basketball being in the SEC footprint, and baseball and softball and volleyball and all of these sports.
Baseball would be a big one if we're in the SEC.
It's
that's for
huge
sure.
for the city. Football is going to bring money in either the two conferences.
Either one.
And if you go to the Big Ten, I guarantee beyond Florida, you're going to have another SEC game a year. These two conferences want to work together so bad. They do. Provide their own networks, more inventory. So even if you're in the Big Ten, I think you're going to see a lot of SEC football games here in Tallahassee. That's going to make you a ton of money. But for the city and for our friends who own businesses here, if you have all of the sports, an SEC soccer game, they'll travel like crazy for that. Softball, absolutely.
The other thing I thought about, based on something you said today, you brought up Jimbo referencing TiVo.
It was TiVo. Ended it all.
I could picture Jimbo out on his one of his ranches contemplating how TiVo destroyed college football. Damn TiVo! He's screaming to the sky. F you, TiVo. But
the farm hands. He's on about TiVo
he's
again.
On about TiVo. He's had a couple of sips. Here comes the TiVo rant. But that's not what I thought about beyond. It's funny to think about Jimbo in his car driving down the road. Effing TiVo. That's funny. But
that's how you got 75 million guaranteed, Jimbo, was thanks to TiVo.
Thanks to TiVo. But the other part that made me laugh was thinking about TiVo itself. They've never mastered, no recording device ever post TiVo has ever been as cool as TiVo because of the bloop, 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 bloop. That was the greatest thing ever. The first time you had TiVo, you're like, oh, this is incredible. You got addicted to the bloop, 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 bloop. I could skip anywhere. This is it. Awesome.
It's true. DVR services got worse over time. They
TiVo
gave us too much.
The bomb.
They realized they gave us too much. Like, you think about the ones that we used to have with cable. You had a DVR service that had I think it was 4 different levels of fast forwarding and rewinding. And then also you could hit pause and play so you could get slow motion from the DVR controls.
Oh, it was incredible.
Don't do that anymore.
No, we had it made. We were directors.
Yeah.
Bloop, 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 bloop. I loved it. It was an addicting sound. They knew it. Well, when you dive deep into how all those things work, you realize nothing's a mistake. It is made to be addicting. It's really smart. I'm not talking about the algorithms of social media and so forth and the internet. I'm talking about, now we know there's an entire, there's something that exists that didn't exist when we were in school. You can go to school to learn how to program and make music solely for apps that are used on your television or, on your phones. So, meaning, the reason I say that specifically is, when you go from platform to platform, you go from Hulu to YouTube to wherever, they all have that initial, you're entered into the realm. Yeah. Like that. And so
the Netflix one is very jarring. It's too much.
It's too much, right?
Yeah.
Hulu has theirs. YouTube has theirs. Everybody's got one. Some of them are more pleasing than others.
How does Max, which dropped the HBO name?
Which bothers me. Why did you drop that name? HBO is awesome.
HBO and its reputation for television is
remarkable. Yes.
How you don't have the sounder of, it doesn't even need to have
the old one
static. It could just be the people going. Well.
Remember that one? Yeah. That's a good one too.
That's the pre-roll.
Yeah,
for their shows.
That should be great.
Oh,
yeah.
And you would,
yeah. By the way, so that actually influenced an entire field. I just got done listening to this lengthy interview of a person who is in charge of a firm in London that they have some of the biggest accounts. They have Hulu. They sit in a room on a keyboard or whatever, trying to figure out the proper. It's called something very specific, and I'm forgetting the name of it now because it's ridiculous. But it's something very, very specific that you become an expert in while you're in school, figuring this out.
Yeah,
it's almost like music theory.
Reminds me in the history of this company, I can remember being Warchant, that is, there was a campaign where I don't know who came up with the idea, but it was just to have people shouting. Like, basically, it was all caps in the copy. They go, Warchant.com. And then they're like, award-winning coverage. And
Yeah.
it's like, who was the person who decided that let's all go full caps on Warchant.com? The market-leading beat reporting. Like,
oh, my goodness. You're like, no, there's no reason.
that's the opposite of that Hulu noise.
Yeah.
We got to get a Hulu noise.
But the YouTube one is kind of soothing.
Yeah.
Bloop, or whatever it does. Badoop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Now I'm driving around these days thinking of things that I would do for the Netflix one or the Hulu one or the HBO Max one or the Peacock one.
I
Any
got
of them.
for alcohol delivery service.
Oh,
I'd take it to beer.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good. Well, that was soothing too. That guy was very soothing every time he came by. I take it to beer. I take it to beer. Yeah. No, you and I laughed every single time he took the beer.
The question mark at the end too, because you know when you use the alcohol delivery services, like I got one with wine service.
Yeah.
And they suggest, hey, 5 more bottles and we'll throw you a free one. And so we go, huh?
Yeah.
I take it to wine?
I take it to wine.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah. What do you say? You do?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like it's some words, it's mostly syllables.
Oh, yeah.
How to do?
You're like, all right, take it. You know who needs one in the sports?
And they have a cartoon that gets sad if you say no.
Oh,
that's people feel guilty. I made the cartoon sad.
That's good. I like it.
Have a divine? Huh?
Oh, it makes the sound.
Oh. No. Okay.
No wine. That would be great. We're on to something. I don't want the same thing to happen that happened to me. It's not a sound designer, Chris. I can't. No, that would be easy to remember. It is something that there's a degree. I mean, this is what people go to school for this. I'm going to find it. It was a podcast. I sound like everybody else now. I was on a podcast. I was listening to this guy talk about how he got into it and how they developed. The point, though, was you brought up the HBO fuzz, the mixture, the pleasing sound mixed with the fuzz of the TV.
Yeah.
That's famous. That was by accident. They discovered it by accident, and it resonated with viewers and listeners because they liked the way that it was contrasted.
I had a golf coach in my younger years who was awesome. Smoked a full pack during an hour lesson. And he was 5'6", and he could hit the ball 300 with the clubs back in those days. Like, this dude was a baller. His voice would be perfect for a food app because if you hit a pure shot, you couldn't help but smile. He made you feel so positive. You go, delicious. When you hit a good shot, every time you pure one, he goes, delicious.
The sound of a golf ball being hit in the center of the club face is really unrivaled. There are very few things. Sweet spot on a bat, King Griffey Jr. home run or something like that. You're like, ooh, that sounded different. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Anything centered up, centered cut.
The center of a mitt when you catch a ball. Where it's centered, yet it doesn't hurt.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's in that right spot.
Oh, yeah. In the pocket. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Because if it's too much in the webbing, it's not as satisfying.
Also, there's an art to that. As the receiver of said ball, I can make that sound every time. Just right to the spot. You got to know how to do it. And I would do it to embolden my son when he was young throwing the baseball. I wanted him to feel like he was getting stronger and throwing the ball harder with more velocity. And so I would always make that sound.
What about the silence of a perfect pluck of a football out of the air?
That's kind of hard to do.
It is. But it's great.
Ooh, ball going through the net on a long three with a lot of art. Buddy, that is a glorious.
There were the chain rims.
Oh, yeah, back in the day. But I hated playing on the chain rims.
Tore up the ball.
Yeah, tore up the ball. You also could tear your hands up, all of that, man. You didn't want any of that. But the chain rims with chain nets with double rims.
Yeah, the chain nets, sorry.
Chain nets with double rims is hell on earth. What are we doing out here? Yeah. This is like how not to make any shots. This is it right here.
Florida State of Georgia Tech.
This is an awful, awful situation.
One of the great sounds in, actually two of them in sports that people love, but they're usually not good things. The stoink in football
Oh, yeah, it's a
the
great
upright.
Yeah.
But then in hockey, the post. The
Oh.
whole crowd every time goes, anytime the puck hits the pipe.
And it's loud. It echoes through the arena.
Yeah.
When it's your team, you're like, damn it! Because sometimes you didn't even see it. You heard the shot and then you're ting! You're like, no! And the goalie never knows either. It's like really quickly, like, did that ting go in? Or did that ting come out? Oh, it's out. Here we go. Yeah, if I'm at a Lightning game and you're in the arena and we hit the post, you're going to hear me go, damn it! I can't help it. It infuriates me to be that. It's hard to score.
Well, sometimes it's off the post and in. So you get drowned out by the Tesla coils.
Yeah, no, but I can see when I can see when it's in. The net does the poofy thing usually.
We need to do maybe a bellying up workshop on sound effects.
The best ones in the world.
Well, and the ones that we would pitch, like I'd take it to beer. Huh? One more?
The set.
Huh?
The one more has to be a jolly fellow. It has to be like, I think the one more.
How about a two?
No, I think the one more has to be like just like a fat man. Some people's voices,
you can hear their weight.
And
it's like blues singers.
Absolutely.
You can tell the beefy ones.
Yeah. So it's awesome though. Like if you call to a restaurant or a bar about seating and a guy who's got some, size to him answers the phone. Oh, it's going to be a warm place. This is a good place. We should go there.
Hey, how you doing?
Right. That guy. Yeah. There's no way that guy's skinny. There's no chance that guy is skinny. Good work out of you. Good work, director. Be well, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Libations Friday. Peace.